Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Eric, and let's go. We're finally here to Series 7 of Doctor Who, Matt Smith, Stephen Moffat years. And in Series 7, it's kind of a creative departure because it heralds the departure of both Amy and Rory. That's right. The first 5 episodes are the final 5 episodes for Karen Gillan and Arthur Danville, who play Amy and Rory. So, these companions are leaving, and in this very first episode, we meet who will be the next companion. Who's dubbed as the Impossible Girl in this episode, in episode 1, Asylum of the Daleks. She's known as Oswin. Later we know her as Clara. So this episode does quite a bit. It introduces who will be the next and also starts setting the stage for Amy and Rory to exit the series. So, Asylum of the Daleks. Basically, the Daleks kidnap the Doctor, Amy, and Rory, bring them to the mothership, where there's a head Dalek and a whole massive assembly of Daleks, and basically they ask for the Doctor's help. There is a world, a planet, in which they send all the Daleks who are kind of a little bit too unruly. Imagine that, right? A Dalek who's either too crazy or too mad with power or whatever it might be for the Daleks. They send them to this place, a fully automated planet. However, on this planet, there is a nano cloud, a Dalek virus, if you will, that if you're exposed to it, you will actually become part Dalek, both living and dead tissue. So corpses can be reanimated with one of the little Dalek eye socket things that come out of the forehead of a human, or if you're alive, it can also do that to you. You're taken over and you become part of the Dalek hive mind, okay? There is a hive mind that connects all the Daleks together. We find that out in this episode. So, we also meet Oswin, this brilliant young lady played by Jenna Coleman, and we, they tell us she's brilliant, but she kind of does prove it along the way. It's not just words. So basically, they're kidnapped. They're sent to this planet. They need to save the Daleks from. There's a wrench in the system, and that's Oswin. But she finally does fight back. And what's really great is because they're all interconnected, she goes into the main database, if you will, like the real source code for the Daleks. Right, the controlling code, and she erases all references to the Doctor, which is there's a fantastic scene at the end where he's like, "Oh, you know who I am? I'm the Doctor," and the Daleks go, "Doctor who? Doctor who?" and they're all yelling, "Doctor who? Doctor who? Doctor who?" So it's kind of cool when the show can kind of shoehorn that in to the plot and have characters say Doctor Who and have it kind of feel organic when it happens. In episode 2, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, the name says it all. And this is a callback to the Hungry Earth, and wherein we meet the Solarians, the lizard people. Well, when they needed to, they built an ark. Okay, this kind of the ship almost looks like a virus, where there's kind of a nucleus kind of center with all these kind of spokes sticking out around it, and each of those are kind of biomes to hold the Daleks, to hold the dinosaurs. Well, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, but we find out that they've been hijacked by kind of a ruthless bounty hunter, a guy who will do anything for $1 or for £1. The Solarians that were on there, he ejected them right out of a airlock. So we find out that this guy is basically a murderous jerk. That doesn't have any problem at all with genocide if it means making a few bucks. Well, the Doctor does help him medically. He does something to help him, but in the end, the Doctor and Amy and Rory, and actually Rory's dad is on this, Cleopatra, a big game hunter from the 1800s. He's got a whole crew with him this time here on the dinosaur ship. And, it's just a fun one-off because, it's a really great title, right? Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. When you take two things that should never be wed together and put them together, you can have some fun with it. The next one, episode 3, is A Town Called Mercy, and this is a Western, kind of, almost like a Westworld kind of feel to it. There is a cowboy cyborg, and the Doctor gets to take up the mantle of being like sheriff, right? Even with a sidearm, a 6-shooter with him. After this, episode 4, The Power of Three, where these strange little black cubes. And are they an invasion, or are they just some kind of cool toy they're collecting all over the globe? Finally, we get to episode 5. The Angels Take Manhattan. That's right. The Weeping Angels are back. Amy and Rory River are in this. The Weeping Angels, they actually shot it in Manhattan. There's scenes that they shot right there in Central Park. So they went back to America again in Series 7, which makes 3 years in a row where they've actually shot some episodes in America, which is pretty cool. But in Angels Take Manhattan, they finally sort of, quote, defeat the Angels, but the Angels are able to send people back through time, okay? And in this instance, in the end of the episode, Rory is grabbed by a weeping angel and he's sent back. And Amy has to make a choice. And she does. And the Doctor doesn't really care for having that choice taken away from him, but she is dead set. She's going to be with the man that she loves, with her husband. And she chooses to go back with him. They're actually gravestones. We know that they went back in time. They lived to a ripe old age together, Amy and Rory together, and they passed away like any normal human does. And so in modern times, or more modern times, there are their gravestones on a hillside with Manhattan in the distance. Lots of people have shot at this graveyard, of course, at Daredevil and different crime dramas. A really famous graveyard because of the beautiful, having New York City in the background over the water. All right, so that ends the story of Amy and Rory being the companions for the Doctor. And we pick up with the Snowmen. This is the Christmas special. Technically, it's episode 6. Christmas special takes place in 1892 in London. And here we have Clara, who's, I believe, like a head... Who is she? She's a nanny. Anyway, but we have an 1892 version of Clara, and she helps. And by this time, the Doctor's burnt out. He just lost Amy and Rory, and she helps actually, solve the mystery and handle this episode without him. But then, by episode 7, The Bells of St. John, we see Clara in modern time. And this is where he asks her to be to be his new companion. Clara's a different beast. Amy was raring to go, right? She wasn't happy that he made her wait. What would have been a minute turned out to be 12 years. And we find out in the 11th hour. But here in The Bells of St. John, Clara, she's actually going like, this is your pitch? This is what you do so people will go on your adventures. Anyway, she's kind of standoffish, more reserved that way. Stronger-willed. And, of course, the Doctor is very strong-willed, so, together. But she finally, of course, becomes his new companion. Then we have episode 8, The Rings of Arcatan, Cold War. Episode 10 is Hyde, which takes place in 1974, the year I was born, in a supposedly haunted mansion. So the first 5 episodes of the Series 7 are on that watch list, right? I do that because those were the final episodes of Amy and Rory. Episode 11, Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. This is actually a really cool episode in that we learn a lot of things about the TARDIS and about what it is, how it functions, and it's just a really cool episode, Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. Of course, Clara is part of this whole adventure. And episode 12 and 13, The Crimson Horror, Nightman Silver, which is another Cyberman episode. And then episode 14, The Name of the Doctor. This is also on that watch list, a really great episode. The Doctor's friends are kidnapped, and we have Vestra and Strax in there, and of course Clara. And then the final 2 episodes on our watch list are the 50th anniversary special, where we have Matt, and we have David Tennant, and John Hurt joins them. And by the way, John Hurt, they shot this in 2013. He actually passed away in 2017. So rest in peace, John Hurt. thank you for being the War Doctor and the Day of the Doctor. Okay, the 50th anniversary special is called Day of the Doctor. We have Matt Smith, David Tennant, and John Hurt, 3 different doctors. And by the end of it, there's like 13 doctors, including Peter Capaldi, where they all are able to send Gallifrey into a pocket universe to save it and to stop a war from happening. The Time War, which would have killed millions, they choose another route. They actually choose peace by using this method where all the doctors work together through time. It's actually kind of cool. All these TARDISes spinning around, right? I mean, you have the big old planet, and there's like 13 of these things flying around the planet. Okay. By the way, it's been back here the whole time. This TARDIS. So I'll put it back here. That's the Day of the Doctor. That's a 50th anniversary special. And finally, the Christmas special in 2013. It's called The Time of the Doctor. Great episode. I can't get out of this one without crying. Matt Smith at his best once again. Prosthetics, he actually ages, right? Because he's there for hundreds of years in a town called Christmas, and he fends off all of his greatest enemies, ends up working, believe it or not, with the Silence towards the end of the episode. The Daleks want to take him out, and it's this battle, but he's there to save the town called Christmas, and he's there hundreds and hundreds of years. Of course, to Clara, it's not that, right? And she comes to him at the end of his cycle, and he's ancient at this point. Right, and so Matt Smith is not only acting ancient as he has through his entire tenure. Right, he's been an ancient guy in a young man's body, but now he's actually in an ancient body. Well, the crux of the matter is, by the end, his time has come up and the regeneration cycle has begun, which means that we have a new face for the Doctor coming soon. And for those final moments, there's a reset with his looks and his age, where we have the actual Matt Smith. Okay, no prosthetics. He's the young man that he is, that we know and expect. And he's there on screen, and these are his final moments, and it's so touching. And he sees kind of almost like an apparition of young Amy Pond, right? He's imagining this. But then they bring back Karen Gillan, okay, grown up Amy Pond. And she comes up and, and she's just kind of gently telling him goodbye. I believe she kind of gives him a kiss on the cheek. And, man, I just started crying, right? Because, bringing her back for this moment, knowing that this is Matt Smith's last episode, it got to me, as anyone who loves Matt Smith and his portrayal of the Doctor, knowing that this is the end. And then before you know it, like that, Peter Capaldi's there, right? Right? Doctor 12, the 12th Doctor. And there's this punchline at the end, right? Again, written by Stephen Moffat, where he does so great at having both drama and comedy in the same episode. And he looks up at Clara, right? He's like, do you know how to fly this thing? Anyway, it's a great little punchline at the end. Thank you for subscribing. Hit the like button. Share this with your friends. As always, I am Eric, and this is the Loud Boy Experience. Have a good night.